Nebraska is taking on the Northern Iowa Panthers this Saturday to potentially start off the year 3-0. So in today's video, I'm going to go over the key players for not only Nebraska to win this ball game, but guys who really need to prove themselves going into the later half of the season. So really quick, we have a lot to talk about in today's video. If you're pumped up about Saturday, I know I am. Make sure to hit that like button. And hey, if you're new to the channel or just a returning viewer, make sure to subscribe. I post daily Nebraska football content. Nobody else on Husker YouTube is doing that. So please, if you don't want to miss anything this season, hit that subscribe button. You will not regret it. But without further ado, let's get into it, going over Nebraska's key players in Saturday's matchup versus Northern Iowa. So usually when I do these videos, I talk about players that Nebraska needs to play well in order to win. Now, let's just all assume the Huskers are going to get the victory on Saturday by more than a couple touchdowns. So in this week's video, instead of talking about guys that we need to play well, I'm just going to talk about guys who maybe have underperformed so far in the season or haven't got opportunities that will, and hopefully they take advantage of them. So with that being said, let's get into my first player that we're going to talk about today, and that is Gabe Erving for the Huskers. This is a prove-it game for him, man. He got benched in the depth chart. The new Week 3 depth chart released, and Dante Dado and Ramir are your two official starters. And Gabe Erving, he's going to get reps. It's going to be a similar running back rotation to what we saw in Week 1, where all four of these backs get real opportunities. But here's what's different about Gabe. He's into year 4. Every single year that he has been healthy, he's been a starter or the second stringer. This year, he's likely the fourth stringer, so we really need Gabe to prove himself. We know how good he can be, but you got to make the most of these reps and honestly try to take away carries from Dante Dowdle going into the back half of the year. Again, Gabe had 2 touchdowns versus UTEP. It's not like he played bad. We know what he can do when he gets the reps. We just got to see it more consistently. I feel good about this running back room, but definitely for Gabe's future, we need him to have a good night, again, going into the rest of the year, or else who knows, he might transfer, and that would not be the best thing. So that is the first guy I really want to see have a good game, but that is the same for every single player in that running back room. I think Dante will play awesome like usual, Ramiro of course, and then EJ only in year 3, so I'm not really too worried about him transferring, but hopefully he produces as well. Second guy I want to see play very well versus Northern Iowa is Sear Wright, transfer cornerback from USC. Now listen, this guy's actually played pretty well throughout the first 2 weeks of the year, but the thing about Matt Rhule and specifically Tony White, they don't rotate any players in the secondary. The starters have played almost every single snap through the first 2 ball games. Versus Colorado, Sear Wright actually had the most snaps out of any member of the secondary on the bench, and he only had 8. So that really tells you that they don't rotate anybody. That's not going to be the case against Northern Iowa. We're going to get the bench to the game because we're going to be up by a lot of touchdowns. And hopefully Sear Wright plays very well, shows those raw instincts, the true ability to be a man-to-man corner, because I truly believe he has a legit NFL upside and potential in him. And you want the coaching staff to trust him enough where, okay, they feel comfortable rotating him in, in a big possession, in a real ball game, because I truly believe he can be good enough, especially if, let's say Malcolm Hartsock is not having the best day, or Marquise Buford's not having the best day. You feel comfortable putting a guy like Sear Wright, and hopefully he balls out versus Northern Iowa, because once again, all these guys are going to get reps. We saw 100+ players get in the ball game versus UTEP. I assume it's going to be very similar versus Northern Iowa. The third player I want to see have a good game versus the Panthers, actually we need him to have a good game just for the future of the season, is Janiran Bonner, starting slot receiver for the Big Red. Now, for the first 2 games of the season, he has been rated the lowest graded PFF starter for the Huskers. It's not necessarily the receiving aspect that's been an issue with Janiran. He only has 3 catches for about 20 yards. That's not really the issue, though. It's the blocking. It's the physicality. And I wasn't anticipating that to be a problem with him. Remember, he was previously a tight end and a fullback with Nebraska. They moved him back to his true position, wide receiver, but his run blocking grade has been horrific according to Pro Football Focus. He had a couple penalties, specifically in last week's game versus Colorado. So Really hope Jedion Bonner can have a bounce back game because this is a very deep receiver room. And if he's not playing, up to speed, I want to see Jalen Lloyd get more reps. I want to see Ja'Cory Party get on the field because we know how good he is. I want to see even Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda get some opportunities. So, again, Jedion Bonner needs to prove it, or else who knows how long he'll be starting. But I feel good about him. I just need to see him get back to that level that we know he can play at. The fourth player, I should say players, that I want to talk about in today's video that I really want to see play well against Northern Iowa are the two starting tackles, Turner Corcoran and Teddy Baraska. Or not Teddy Baraska, out for the year, Bryce Benhart and Turner Corcoran. So those two, we feel good about them in the running game. We've known about that. Again, those are honestly our two best run-stopping offensive linemen. It's just them in the pass pro, which is, it's awful. It's awful, and they graded horribly versus Colorado, according to PFF. They also had a couple penalties that really hurt the Big Reds. So I just want them to play clean, and I want them to play confident going into Big Ten play. I expect them to really play very well because, let's be real, Northern Iowa's edge rushers are not very good. But again, be confident, play clean, stay healthy. We need those guys to have a good night, along with some of the depth pieces in that offensive line department. Guys like Gunnar Gatula, Henry Liatowski, Grant Seagren. I want even a guy like a Jacob Hood to get snaps. So watch out for that, but hopefully, again, play clean and confident. That is the key to the game for those folks. A couple other guys here, true freshman Vincent Shavers. Holy cow, do I want him to break out versus Northern Iowa. This needs to be a statement game. Now, he got a lot of reps versus UTEP. I thought he struggled just a little bit. That's expected. He was a true freshman. He only had 2 snaps versus Colorado, so again, really didn't see him last week. Need him to really make a statement game, prove why he's one of the best true freshmen on this roster, let alone the country, because he's the future in that linebacker room, and he's so athletically gifted. Hopefully he has a big day, and I think he will because he's fit for this ball game. Northern Iowa wants to run the ball down our throats. That's not going to happen. Vincent Shavers really good at plugging those holes and getting tackles. So watch out for Vincent Shavers. And the last guy who I think is a key player for the future of Nebraska, but also in this game, Keona Davis. We heard the hype all throughout fall practice, how he's different. We've heard comparisons to Ndamukong Suh. Now it's time to see it on the field. He only had 2 snaps versus Colorado. He got some pressure, actually, when he got on the field and had 11 snaps versus UTEP and played pretty well. So, again, he's going to probably have 25 snaps versus Northern Iowa. Would not be too surprised if he plays the majority of the second half. Hoping he really makes his mark on the ball game. So, all right, guys, those are 6 players who I want to have a big day versus the Panthers. Again, not necessarily, keys to win, because we're going to win. Knock on wood here, 90, 95% chance, 99% chance we're going to win. These are guys who I purely want to play well for the future of Nebraska, not only this year, but the future of the next couple years, and depth pieces who are going to be crucial as we get into Big Ten play. So, all right, guys, we're going to see 100 players likely versus Northern Iowa. Let me know down below which one of those guys do you want to see play the best, again, going into their future. Let me know in the comment section. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go Greg, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.